You're listening to the Staging Sips podcast with Lori Fisher. This podcast is dedicated to helping real estate staging CEOs build healthy businesses that grow, flow, and thrive. Hello. Welcome back to the podcast. As always, it's so awesome to be with you. I feel like I need to get a new intro. Maybe you all can help me out with that. It just feels so natural though. Anyway, I digress. So this week's episode is going to be a little bit different. I'm actually going to start by I'm giving a review and a rating, and I want to shout it out to my podcast team. I have two amazing women on my podcast team, Renee and Deborah. They are incredible. So from the very beginning, I record this episode and then I hand it off to Deborah, and Deborah is the project manager to get it all the way to the finish. And Renee is the one who creates the email that you might receive if you're on my email list. She creates the audiograms that we share on social media. She creates the podcast image. She's like remarkable at creating amazing SEO on the blog. So these two people are amazing. And I just want to thank them for helping all of us grow our businesses, because without them, this podcast legit does not happen. I also want to give a special well wish to Deborah. Deborah lives in Nigeria, and she is going to be studying in the United States, and she is traveling this weekend to the United States. And I just want to take a second to honor the fact that Deborah is taking a huge step in her life. She's going beyond her comfort zone to experience something wildly new. I'm so proud of her. She is a young woman in her 20s, and she shared with me a few months back that she doesn't actually have electricity fully all day long. She has a few hours each day in order to get the work of getting this podcast to you. And I just think that resilience and that ability to be like, I'm going to make it happen no matter what, is so inspiring to me. And at the same time, she is great at being like, Lori, you owe me. Lori, you're not due. But I just think it's remarkable. And I just wanted to share with you all who are thinking about hiring remote help that today's technology helps you work globally. Deborah and I have weekly check-ins by WhatsApp every Wednesday to talk about the podcast and where it's going and what we're doing with it. And I just find it remarkable. So anyway, well wishes to you, Deborah. I'm so excited for what's next for you. And just thank you for bringing this podcast to life for our community. I also would love to continue our team building with our community. Last week, I asked you to go find a staging company's post and make sure to like and comment on it. If you didn't do that while you are scrolling this week, I think you can still do that at any time. Let's support one another. We all know it's nice to get feedback. It's nice to not be operating in what feels like a void sometimes. So go cheer on your fellow staging business owners. And also, what I'd love for you to do is if you have a favorite episode on the Sips that you have listened to maybe one or two times, or it just really resonated with you at the time that you listened to it, if you wouldn't mind taking a screenshot of it and posting it on your Instagram stories and tagging Staging Business School, this will help us get in front of more people with the podcast. Again, I want us to be good stewards of the things we are learning, and I want us to spread the knowledge so that our industry as a whole just keeps getting better and better and stronger and more knowledgeable about what it takes to grow a staging business. Okay. So I know those are two asks on my part, so I'm going to deliver some goods to you in return. So thank you for taking the time to do that. So this week I wanted to share, I have heard from a few business owners that they love all of the content that I am supplying here on the podcast, but they feel like there's so much good stuff and they want to implement so much stuff and they don't have the time to implement so much stuff. And it's creating feelings of maybe guilt or angst or shame. And I want to help with this a little bit. Okay. So the first thing is what I want to share with you is that this podcast evolved obviously out of my desire to help other staging business owners. And it is in no real sequential order. Sometimes it is. Sometimes we have series and things like that. But other times it's because I am responding to what I am seeing out in the world and the questions that are coming up. So it is not curated in the way that, say, like inside the Staging Business School in the Accelerate program, that is a curated experience. It's more step by step. It's more in an organized fashion. But that doesn't mean that you can't use this podcast while you are preparing yourself to come join us in the Staging Business School at some point, if that is what your goal is. You can still use the podcast to great effect, but I want to share with you how you can do it. So in the show notes today, I am adding a link to get our priorities and boundaries worksheet, as well as our staging SIPs survey. I am supplying those two things because by going and completing those two pieces of information, and you can choose one or the other, you don't necessarily need to do both, but what those are going to walk you through and help you take out of your brain, because sometimes we sit with things in our brains and it's not until we see them out on paper that we can actually begin to create a plan. Other than that, things can just be noise in a very unorganized, disorganized way. And what I want to help you do is almost like, I don't know if anybody follows home edit, but let's like home edit the thoughts that are swirling around in your brain and help you create containers to compartmentalize what you want to work on. So I'm going to suggest that you go complete those two things first. The priorities and boundaries workshop will help you pull out of yourself, what are your current goals? What are the current things that you're doing in your business? What are the things you want to be doing in your business? What do you think you should be doing in your business? Because you just think that's part of business ownership, but maybe you don't want to be doing them. And where are you taking action that is in contradiction to your actual stated goal? So like if you're in the growth phase of business and your stated goal is to have 5 appointments a week, where it's either a consultation or it is going out to look at a vacant or vacant preview. Let's just start small, right? So if that is your stated goal, and in order to achieve that stated goal, you need to be doing the core 4 activities, right? You need to be meeting people, telling them that you're a stager, staying in touch and making offers to help. Those are your core 4 activities. If you are not spending the majority of your free time doing those core 4 activities, you are in direct contradiction to your stated goal of filling your calendar with X number of appointments. So that's an example where that can become revealed to you. And why do I want you to do these assessments first? I want you to do them because, again, like I said, your brain is going to end up seeing things on paper and it's going to give you aha moments, whether you think it will or not. It absolutely will. But it's also going to help you point to where there are patterns. You're going to start to see patterns in your responses. And when you see the patterns in your responses, what it allows you to do is to look at and begin to prioritize what it is you want to work on first and what would be of highest value to your business. Now, you can choose things that are super easy to check off your list right away. That's often a great place to start, is the things that you're like, oh my goodness, I keep saying that I'm going to sign up for a networking group in order to meet more people, and I keep not signing up for a networking group. Well, that's a very easy solve, right? You put out to your community, hey, I'm looking to join a dynamic referral-based networking group. Tell me your favorites. Start doing the research, going to visit chapters of various networking groups, beginning to see what feels right for you, and choosing one. For right or for wrong, choose one and get involved in it and get into it and see if it continues to be a right fit for you. And if it is, renew. And if it isn't, go back to the beginning and go back to that list and go find a new networking group or new networking groups to trial out, right? So it's going to help you figure out what you want to tackle. The next thing that I'm going to suggest that you do is once you've created that list and you start to see, oh, isn't that interesting? I want to grow my business. I've stated a goal of filling my calendar with X number of appointments. In order to do that, I need to be doing the core 4. And one thing I noticed that I'm not doing out of those core 4, I might be out meeting people and telling them that I'm a stager and making offers to help, but I may not be staying in touch. Okay, staying in touch. How do I stay in touch? Okay, so that right there is going to help you begin to dial in. So how do I stay in touch? What that will allow for you to do is to go through the podcast episodes and take a look and go, okay, I'm struggling to stay in touch. Where are the podcast episodes that Lori has? And there are lots of them about staying in touch and creative ways to stay in touch. Things that are easy to implement, things that maybe require a little more research. Why don't I start looking at the things that might be easy for me to implement in terms of staying in touch, right? So this is how I want you to use your time over the coming weeks. If you are feeling like you have learned so much here, but you have yet to implement certain things that you want to. The other episode I think is key to listen to is episode 26. For those of you business owners who are in the phase where you're getting ready to hire people or you already have team, this is an outstanding episode, if I do say so myself. It is the episode called How to Change Course When Systems Aren't Working in Your Business. But it is also the foundation of your CEO activities. I talk about the fix-it protocol in here, where you will fact find and figure out what is going wrong in your business. That's your F. Your I is creating your issues list. Your X is crossing off things that are easy to fix. The next I is implementing a plan to address the bigger issues. And then T is tracking to see if you are on the right path with implementing those changes. Are there still stumbling blocks that you need to go back to the beginning of the fix-it protocol to begin? That is a phenomenal episode for you when things may be feeling chaotic in your business. Even if you are a roster of 1, and I felt this, that I would onboard clients a different way every single time I had a new client come on. They would reach out to me via text, via email, via phone, via Facebook Messenger. That felt chaotic, right? But I was responding in those places, and then I was losing track of people. So that felt chaotic, and I needed to wrap a system around that, which was when someone reached out to me by direct message, by text message, by phone, I needed to collect an email address for them so that then I could send them the link to schedule a get acquainted call. And that way I was getting everybody into my email system where I was able to start my sales and onboarding funnel there. But this is great if you're feeling chaotic with your team, right? If things feel inconsistent about the way that you are delivering a particular service or a process, if team keeps asking the same questions over and over again about the same thing, right? Like if they are continuing to not know where the lockbox is on a listing, if they are continuing to not have a phone number that they need to reach out to a client to let them know they're running late between appointments, or, whatever it is, if something keeps coming up over and over and over again, the same question, that you are going to implement, you're going to start the fix-it protocol. You're going to fact find. I recently had this with one of my students where her team kept repeatedly asking her, so where are we staging tomorrow? Or what time are we starting tomorrow? And so we talked about, well, where should they get that information? Right. So, and what my student shared was that she texts it to them. She puts it on the Google Calendar. And I think those were the 2 places. So it was text and Google Calendar. Yet team members were still asking for this information. So what I said was, we need to dive into the fix-it protocol. You need to go to your team and say, hey, this keeps coming up and I want to help solve for this. That unfortunately, you tend to not know where you're going and what time you're starting on staging day. And I want to make that so much easier for you to find. And I've been putting it in text and on the calendar, the Google Calendar. Can you tell me what is preventing you from finding that information? Because there's probably something I don't know. And sure enough, one of the things that she found out was that her one team member is using iCalendar when her team is actually using Google Calendar. And this business owner was trying to be accommodating and pushing the Google Calendar stuff over to this iCalendar for this team member, but it lost all of the information that was trying to be conveyed. And what we realized was that if you're going to operate a business, everybody needs to be using the same tools. And so this team member was going to need to use the tool Google Calendar. So that was the first step. There's lots of other things that we talked about in terms of how now does she get this team member up and running using Google Calendar, and what can she create in terms of a training library while she's solving this problem that will help the next time this arises? And is there someone on her team that she can identify as the tech subject matter expert? Is there someone on her team who is super comfortable with tech and can support this team member so that the business owner doesn't keep getting pulled into this? So this is a great example of using episode 26, the Fix It protocol, to begin to address issues in your business. Maybe the team keeps making the same errors, like they keep forgetting to bring on a job the steamer, or they run out of supplies. Or if you're the lead stager and everything in your business, you keep making the same mistakes over and over again. Is there something that you can do that helps create a system and a process to that, right? Like, so is there a way that you can begin to look at the errors as a point of place to create and implement the Fix It protocol so that you create consistency and a consistent habit? Because that's simply what we're doing, is we're creating new habits very often in the business for us and our team. The Fix It protocol is a great way to do that. And then maybe you're hearing from your team, or you're experiencing that there's not the documentation needed to complete a job, or it's not available because people are forgetting to do it, right? Because there's maybe nobody responsible or accountable for getting that information done. So that's another great kind of, if you're feeling that episode is for you. And that's where you're going to reveal what other episodes you can go listen to that will help you do that. So this is just a little snippet this week, a little sip to help you kind of get that on track. And also because Deborah is traveling, I just wanted to make it super easy on her to be able to do her part this week. And again, wish you all a great week. Go out there, support the team, support our community, our staging community. Go cheer them on their posts, and go let them know what your favorite Staging Sips episode is out there, so that if they haven't heard of Staging Sips, well, dang, they want to get on it, right? And get the same value that you've gotten from it. So anyway, that's your sip. Have a wicked good week. I will see you next time. Bye for now. Thank you so much for listening to the Staging Sips podcast. If you love what you've learned here today, please take a minute to rate and review it so more staging business owners can find us. And if you want to learn more about how to market and grow your staging business more strategically, I'd love to see you join us inside of the Rethink You Accelerate Mentorship Program. It is open enrollment. You can get more details at rethinkhomeinteriors.com/rethinkyou. Would love to see you inside.